On April 9th, my father died due to complications of having the coronavirus. He tested positive for COVID-19 as well as my mother. He died. My mother is still living. Because of the restriction of only 10 people being able to meet, we are extremely limited as a family to having only 8 people available at his service, because 2 of those 10 slots are taken up by people who work at the funeral home. And then when they're actually putting his casket into the tomb, that'll be another 2 people in my family who have to step out. So 6 people actually watching him being put in. I was put in charge of finding a way to live stream his service so that the rest of his descendants could see. And this is just his descendants here. He's got 64 grandchildren and 40 great-grandchildren in addition to his 10 children, which comes out to 113 descendants who want to be involved in this service. That doesn't include his surviving brothers and sister. It doesn't include his nieces and nephews or friends of the family. I had 742 subscribers this morning, which is plenty for my channel. I'm not looking to be an influencer. I don't have a themed channel. I'm just one of those people who first got into YouTube because I loved information, and there were amazing tutorials that taught me so much, and I wanted to share. And so on my channel, I've got tutorials about family history work and tablet repair. I was doing a master's degree in instructional technology, so a little bit about tech and children, things that interest me. And I don't want to keep these subscriptions under false pretenses, because that's not what I'm about. This was not anything like a gimmick. My friends and family on Facebook were amazing. When I first tried to do the live stream on my mobile phone, it said that I needed 1,000 subscribers and I hadn't met that threshold. I said, okay, so I told my family, let's do Facebook, and then they pushed for YouTube. So I said, okay, let's try to make that happen. And it was amazing. The support, the pulling together has just, we thought that my father was out of the woods. He had very light symptoms. You could almost describe him as being asymptomatic. And so to have everyone pull together like that and get in the course of 2 hours, we'd had over 200 additional subscriptions. And that alone was incredibly meaningful to my family at a time when we can't really all be together. So I want to say thank you to the people who don't actually know who I am and don't actually know my family. We appreciate it. I've seen this subscriptions continue to roll in, even though I explained this on Facebook. And so I'm putting it on my channel because I don't want to keep any subscriptions under false pretenses. That's not what it's about. We're going to find a way, and there's always Facebook. So we have the ability to do it. And it still means so much to my family at this really difficult time. So this is what it was for me the past 2 months, though, so February 1st, I moved out of Texas with my family because my husband found work out of state, and we left my parents and 3 of my siblings there. March 22nd, my father tested positive for COVID-19, and he was forced to quarantine in his apartment with my mother in their retirement community. They had a 2-bedroom apartment. My brother was allowed to be with them because he had been exposed to them, and so they wanted him to quarantine as well. So he had to stay away from his family. March 29th, my parents had been quarantined about a week, and they were really struggling psychologically. My mother actually told my brother, instead of putting me in a small coffin, they've locked me into a large one because they were not allowed to leave their apartment. And when I began to see this kind of emotional, psychological struggle, I started doing what I could on my end, which was writing just a little book of stories that I wanted to get out to them to make them laugh. So that was March 29th. March 31st, the entire retirement community was put under quarantine by the county judge because they had, I believe, 12 of the community members test positive with COVID-19. But we knew that meant that no one from our family could go in to see my parents. They were just going to be locked in their apartment and left there, and essentially left to die because they were already depressed. So we decided to get them out, and we moved them to an isolated house, an empty house, and they basically slept it off, essentially, is what we thought. April 3rd, they were doing incredibly well. Oxygen levels were up. The highest fever they'd had was about 99 degrees, didn't really have a cough. And then on April 9th, all of a sudden my brother said that my father had died. So I think it was just the fact that we thought that they had slept it off and they had made it through that made it really a shock. And I know there are a lot of stories out there like that, and this video has already gone too long. But again, thank you so much. And honestly, this was not false pretenses. If you want to drop your subscription, please absolutely feel free to, with no guilt at all. We thank you for the intention to help us, and it did. Emotionally, it meant the world to me and to my family, my brothers and sisters. So thank you.